This is Opposite Attractions, Season 3, Episode 6. Opposite Attractions in Mathmagic Land. The Challenge, an educational attraction.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the world-famous Opposite Attractions podcast. I am going to be your skipper for the evening, Scottye Moore, joined as always by my co-skipper in training, Mr. Jim Murphy.
Hello.
You like how I called you
Yes.
co-skipper for a minute and then went, that's too complimentary.
I'm waving to all the listeners that I'll never see again.
Yep. Bye, guys. Oh, man. So I'm getting prepped. Ready. This time next week, I was going to say in Disney World, but it is, in fact, 10 o'clock their time right now, so I'm probably going to be in a hotel room dead.
You can, let's see.
Well, no.
I think the parks are open later,
Well, yeah,
But you will be probably shit-faced, so.
That too. But I'm going to Animal Kingdom my first day, and I was looking up, I was trying to plan out my budget, so I was like, okay, what snacks and, drinks do they have? And I found that apparently Animal Kingdom has a chocolate bourbon milkshake that they shove a strip of bacon into the top of. And I went, wow, you've just got me all in one, Animal Kingdom.
Where? At the hotel or at the park?
I believe it's at the park, my boy.
Oh, which restaurant / place decided that was a good idea?
I think it's called the Hellhole, and this band named Postmortem Jukebox is gonna show up and play too. But yeah,
I do like the zebra domes at the Animal Kingdom Lodge. They are amazing. They are my snack of choice.
But see, the reason why I think I'm gonna be dead that first day is the fact that because they wanted to keep my hours pretty much even at work, but I'm only working 3 days, so she's like, okay, you're gonna work from 11 till 9 at night, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna die. So I have to work 11 to 9 Tuesday, go home, record Fight Boys, leave from Fight Boys, probably just edit the show and not go to sleep, get on a plane, and then wake up and then go to Animal Kingdom.
It's really hard for me to listen to your 10-hour shift talk when I do 12s.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But I only have to do them 3 times, and then I'm pretty much good for the week, so it's that's nice. But I see the year that New Fantasyland opened, I was there 2 weeks after that. It was the week before Christmas.
Yeah.
And we did Epcot on a Monday, and we were pretty much there start to finish. And then the next day we got up and went to Magic Kingdom, and we tried to make it to midnight because they were doing extra magic hours after 9, and we made it to 9:45 or 10, and we were like, fuck this, because we had to drive 3.5 hours back to Gainesville, Florida after we left, and we just said fuck this, and it was the only time I ever fell asleep in a car.
Since I'm going alone, I think I'm gonna have a very much just I've been at Epcot for 4 hours, I'm gonna go now. You guys have fun. Because a lot of people are like, aren't you gonna stay for the fireworks? I'm like, no, not really, dog. The only fireworks show I really care to see is the Magic Kingdom fireworks, because Epcot, I'm sorry, unpopular opinion, I don't like Illuminations. I don't like it.
Let's see, I was in the vicinity of Illuminations over probably 100 times, so I'm good. I'm mostly good on it, but
exactly. I'm like, I don't want to see.
They're getting ready. Probably by maybe not the end of next year, but probably by the end of next year, they're going to have a new Illuminations anyway.
Oh, really? Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because there's no more semen. No more semen to help it out.
Yeah, they're going to have drones in it, or that's their plan, is to put drones in it.
Now that would be cool. That'll be really cool.
But it's going to suck because they're going to fly them in over Japan, so it's going to be
Pearl Harbor.
10 minutes. It's going to be 10 minutes before the show starts, and it's no one is allowed to walk in this area
Oh,
do
yeah.
not. You will be hit in the face and sue, and we will have to like pay you lots of money. So do not walk in over here. And then when it's over, it's do not walk in this area again. That's gonna be a pain in the ass.
Right. See, I'm just pumped for. What's bad is the fact that I looked at my budget for when we went in January, and I looked at my budget for this trip. This trip is literally twice as long, and I have roughly the same amount of money. I may die. Like, just because. Have you seen all of the Incredibles food they've come out with?
Probably.
My dog. They have the Miss Incredibles stretch burger. Which it sounds bad, but it also sounds something like 14-year-old me who was really into that THICC Miss Incredible could get into. But it is a burger that they put garlic aioli and fucking mozzarella sticks on top of.
That will do that.
That'll do it for you. So yeah,
stretch burger. That sounds awful.
Yeah, oh well, it could be worse. It could be called Chicken Guy.
I'm assuming that's what they're gonna. It's like they don't have a menu, but I wonder what they're gonna sell. A Chicken Guy.
They're gonna sell chicken nuggets that look like Guy Fieri's face. Like they've got one that's shaped like the flames on his shirt, one that looks like a hot rod, one that just looks like his face. Damn it, I started this as a goof, but it's starting to sound like something Guy Fieri would actually do, and now I'm scared. It's all guy-shaped food. You want the mac and cheese as a side? Awesome. All the noodles look like Guy Fieri. Deal with it. You get a decorative pineapple that actually they didn't have to do much. It already looked kind of like Guy Fieri.
They just put a pair of sunglasses on it backwards, and it was set on that.
And they Sharpied on a goatee, and that was it. Man, I do kind of want to go to Chicken Guy. I'm not even lying. Like,
I'm sorry that it's not open yet, and it probably won't be until... I mean, maybe when I go it will be open, but I don't even know that. No,
dude, the disappoint is, like, palpable, because not only is Chicken Guy not open, apparently they had, like, a Disney Springs, and I think we may have talked about this on the show, or it might have just been me and you talking.
Oh, the bourbon?
The fucking bourbon crawl they had at Disney Springs, and I was like, oh good, it's like they rolled out the red carpet for me, like, come on Scottye, let's go. And then I think it ends, actually I think this week, I think it's over this week.
Oh, that's depressing.
But I do still get my milkshake with a bacon and bourbon, so that's really all you need.
That would turn into a real Trail of Tears situation for you, I think, very quickly.
Oh, the bourbon trail?
Yes.
First three, I'm like, this is amazing. Next one, I'm like, I have to keep going. By the seventh one,
there's only 17 more to go.
Yeah, I should be fine. By the time I get to T-Rex, they all look at me like, hey, man, it's been a while. And I'm like, just get out of my way. Give me the bourbon. Actually, I'd like to build a dinosaur, please. Let's go. Let me get it. Oh, man. Yeah, I am super hyped for the trip, though. Like, I've been counting.
You said you're going by yourself. Are you going by yourself? Is that what you're doing?
Okay, the OG plan was for me and Blake, co-host on A Load of BS and Tiny Special Boy. We were going to go only like 3 or 4 days because we were going to see New Japan Pro Wrestling with our fellow Fight Boys co-host, the Dylan. We were going to do that. And then Blake, because he can't stay away from theater, was like, I got offered to play, so I can't really go. And I'm like, okay, cool.
I got to show my dick in Equus.
Sorry,
guys.
Oh, my God. Yes. Best role he could ever play, Equus.
Yeah, he plays the horse.
Yeah. And so once he got out, I was like, oh, shit. Well, I'm not driving 8 hours alone. So that's led to me having to get a plane and a hotel and a bunch of stuff like that. And that being said, I was like, okay, I ain't going for 3 days now. So I literally stretched it. I Miss Incredible stretch burgered it for 6 more days.
So you're going for 9 days?
No, I'm sorry. 6 days is the total. I stretched it from 3 to 6 is what happened. Because I was like, I want to go everywhere. I want to do everything.
People always look at me like I'm weird because it's like, oh, we're going for 6 days, and they're like, well, there's only 4 parks. I'm like, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I'm probably only going to 3. I know I'm doing Magic Kingdom Thursday, Animal Kingdom Wednesday, Epcot Sunday, and I'm staying as far the fuck away from Hollywood Studios as possible because it will be deadly next week. Like my favorite was my nephew. One of my nephews is really into cars. The other one's into Toy Story, and they're like, "Aren't you gonna go to the Pixar Land? And you're gonna bring him stuff back?" And I was like, "Fuck no! I don't have money as it is, and also I'm not fighting that many people to ride a singular Slinky Dog ride."
No, it doesn't open till the 30th.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess you would be there that week. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's next Friday, Saturday. It's like Saturday.
Yeah, it's next Saturday.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't think you really want to, like, yeah.
I don't.
It has, like, the capacity on that is very low, and it's going to be hell. It's going to be hell.
Yeah, 100%.
They literally have a pad. They have a section where they can build another ride, and they're like, nah, that's going to be strollers.
Nothing but strollers.
Well, strollers probably for the next at least 3 to 4 years, because probably once Star Wars Land's open, they're going to have to put strollers somewhere.
Yeah.
They'll probably have to build a parking lot for strollers for that shit.
Mm-hmm. Then they're going to charge you for it. So, Jim Murphy, this is a podcast where we're building our own theme park. We have no name for it because the last 2 had themes. This season's theme is just fuck it. Do whatever you want. We don't care. And so
I think you missed our breaking news on the PassFast front.
Oh shit! There is a PassFast. We're running long today, ladies and gentlemen.
Actually, we'll probably run about the same. I don't know, but yeah, I sent you a link to something called Cyborg Cyberspin at Six Flags Great Adventure in New Jersey.
Yeah,
which was essentially if somebody took that big fuck thing from Contact and made a ride out of it.
Accurate. It was bullshit.
It's more like if you went to like space camp in your home state of Alabama and they strapped you to that weird thing they always showed at like the end of a Double Dare episode.
Oh, where it spins you around in a circle real fast?
That's pretty much it. Mm-hmm. Except it's much slower, and it only the ride appears to only last about a minute.
Mm-hmm.
The creepy thing is in the video.
Yeah.
There's 2 videos. There's an on-ride video where you can kind of see what a person would see riding it, and that's very. I feel like if I was on it, it would probably make me throw up, but it's not fast. It doesn't like flip you around like you're in a.
Not fast.
It seems very slow, but when you watch the other video where it shows like from the outside, I can't tell, but it appears that like half the video is like CGI.
What?
It's weird. Like if you watch the like. I'll put the link somewhere.
Yeah.
So people can look. But like in the first video, every time it shows the full ride, like from a distance, it looks like it's like a CGI creation that they made to like show you what it looks like before they build it. But then they show close-ups of people on the ride like cheering and screaming.
Right.
So I don't know if they just mix the 2 together or what, but every time they show it from a distance, I'm like, no, that's a computer.
That's not
but
real.
But I don't know if it's just the way they shot it or if there's like a tilt shift thing going on.
Yeah.
It just doesn't look real at all. Like there's people walking around the ground, but it's like, they could add that in post. That's nothing.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, like Mission Space has that kind of same space camp vibe, doesn't it?
I've only ever been in the exit of Mission Space.
Well, see, my favorite thing of all,
which I like that little game that's in there. That was fun.
Yeah. I like that. I was trying to plan out my fast passes. I was like, I know I want one for fast track or test track because I have fast track because I haven't done that yet. I know I want one for possibly Frozen. And then I asked my friend who works there, like, hey, what do you think? Should I do like Mission Space, like either track? And she went, fuck no, stay away from that horrible ride. I'm like, oh, okay, thanks for that, I guess.
Yeah. Because they changed the green. The green's basically like soaring over Earth.
Yeah, exactly. But as I was saying before, I was rudely fast Jim Murphy, we're building our own theme park, and this week our Chickadee challenges posed by you, my boy, is an educational edutainment ride. So I mean, bring the thunder.
Well, I had a couple ideas that didn't go anywhere. I had a hotel about the dangers of ignoring climate change. That was called the We Used to Have Four Seasons.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
I had a ride hosted by Ted Danson and C. Thomas Howell about the basically about acceptable blackface. That was called the Defense Against the Dark Arts.
Okay.
And but no, I settled on a ride that I'm calling Forces of Nature.
Okay.
Not to be confused with Nature Force, which is where the president sends soldiers into trees to protect us from Bigfoot.
Okay.
But yeah, Forces of Nature is basically, and I hate this because you've never rode Test Track before, but it is essentially a Test Track-like attraction.
Well, to be fair, one of my rides in our last theme park was Test Track-ish. Testies Track.
Yeah, it's basically like Test Track in that. So, I don't want to spoil it for you, but I probably already have anyway. The idea of the original Test Track, the late 90s to mid 2000s version,
right,
was that you were a crash test dummy essentially, and that you were put into a series of tests.
Yeah.
And like the first test was like rough roads, and so like you would go down this hill and there was like like little bumps and like speed bump type stuff, and you would ride over them. They have a name and it's completely gone in my head. And then you would do like a cornering test, like with and without ABS.
Okay.
So like you would whip around the first one and it was like really jarring and whiplash, and you'd go to the side, and then you do it again. It's real smooth and pretty.
Right.
And then you would go through these three rooms that were like hot and cold and corrosion. And so it was like one room was really warm and one was really cold. And then one like mist sprayed on you for the corrosion thing.
Okay.
And it was like a little joke. And then you do like a handling test. You go like up a hill back and forth up like switchbacks. Pretty quick. And then you go around a corner and it's like, oh, now it's time for the barrier test. And you're like, barrier test? And there's a freaking wall in front of you.
Oh, yeah.
And then you end up outside.
You've made it clear how much you hate that little barrier fucking test.
Well, it's better now because since they tronified it, like everything's in the dark and they don't mention, it's literally the exact same ride except that the speed bumps at the beginning are gone, and they don't mention anything about like the brakes. They do a thing like going when it's like the ABS without the anti-lock brakes. They kind of tell you that it's like a slippery road ahead or something stupid like that, like you're hitting black ice or something. But it's generally just like, it's like, but it's like you do a thing for a couple seconds and then you have like a couple seconds where you're not doing anything. And you like move to the next section. So there's like these little breaks in between. Because apparently if the cars get closer than 13 seconds apart, the ride completely shuts down and they have to reset everything, and that's a problem.
Okay.
And if you're on the outside and you're going 65, it's really not fun to go from 65 to 0. I've seen cars do it, and it's really bad. It's like trying to pull a squeegee across like a dry piece of glass.
Yeah.
That's the sound it makes. It's really bad. But essentially, my ride is kind of like that, except that they're teaching about G-forces and gravity.
Okay.
And other such like acceleration and things like that. So each section would be like, oh, we're going to teach you about like inertia and stuff. And so they like speed you up and then like stop you really quick, like not quick enough to hurt you, but quick enough. And then like you go around some banks, like, and it would explain to you like what G forces were on your body. Like there'd be little screens in the dash, stuff like that. There'd be a part where you would go into a section and be lifted up and dropped.
Okay.
Like not far, but probably as far as the Forbidden Forest ride that you talked about last time, which I finally saw information about that. That guy was so fired. Very fired. Apparently the Universal creative team is like 5 people, and so it's really easy to figure out who leaks things.
Yeah.
Whereas Imagineering is like 5,000 people, and it's much more difficult. But that's essentially what the attraction is just doing little tests.
Okay.
I don't really know what the big finish could be, if I mean, I guess there could be like a test track like finish of like going outside or going on like a longer section, like putting it all together. I'm thinking there could be like bunny hill type, like roller coaster bunny hill type things, which I think Radiator Springs Racers has, where you get like airtime so they can go up like the negative G's through something like that.
Yeah.
So maybe there's an indoor section that goes over everything one by one, and then an outdoor section that's like everything together.
Okay.
Maybe not the gravity part, but
Okay. All right. Now my ride, as I said last week, it's gonna be in Ireland, which, I had to change my ride from my initial idea.
okay.
And I'll explain why after I talk about the ride. But I will say Ireland is now going to be changed to more of like a Renaissance fair kind of area, to where you do have Celtic influences, but you also have like English influences and influences of just like a bunch of different old-timey things coming together, like Vikings and shit.
Okay.
And so my ride is in fact in this area, which is now not named because Ireland does not exist. And so I'm gonna tell you about the ride itself, and then I'm gonna give you the information on it.
Okay.
So the ride opens, and you immediately start going down this slow slope into this dark ass creepy cavern. And it's kind of like Spaceship Earth, where it's a very lengthy going down before you actually see anything, but you have a narration. So the narration overhead just booms, and he says, "The things you will learn of today will not be tales of the past. They will not be facts of the present. This is a warning of things to come. It will begin with a winter. No normal winter. The winter will begin, and it will be followed by another and another. No spring, no warmth. The people will be hungry, and they will be cold, and they will be angry. Brothers will fight against brothers. Fathers will kill sons. Mothers and daughters will be set against one another. Sisters fall into battle with sisters, and they will watch as their children murder each other in turn. This is the story of Ragnarok. And you are now on a journey through the Norse tale of Ragnarok. And you will learn of what happens in Ragnarok through this fucking part. It's kind of more like a Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts, where it's pretty roller coastery, but it's not super intense, other than the fact that there's a bunch of fucking creepy shit around you. So after that, you go into a cavern where you see this figure with 3 rocks on him, and he's bound, and he is just struggling like a motherfucker. And it's kind of like, imagine a more intense version of the dude trying to escape from, or no, of the door in the Haunted Mansion. A more intense version of that, and he is shaking, and there's a woman above him sobbing, holding out this wooden bowl to catch a slowly dripping red liquid. And his writhing starts to become more and more violent. And then in front of you, a giant fucking wolf shoots from the wall of the cave. And it's fucking Fenrir here to party. And then you just drop, dude. You go down, and you are now on the Bifrost. So your actual path is the Rainbow Bridge. So you are on the Bifrost going around, and you're seeing like lightning shoot around you and flames and all this different. It's got the same vibe as last week, where you have like these cool neon signs you're passing that show you the experience you're going through. And then suddenly you pass something, giant fucking animatronic that's on fire. It's Surtur. He raises his fucking fiery hand and smashes the Bifrost in front of you. You see the Rainbow Bridge fall to bits, and your cart shifts, and it takes you into Asgard, which is now in flames. And Loki appears in front of you atop the ship of the damned, invading Asgard. And then suddenly you see Heimdall atop like one of the tallest structures in Asgard, blowing a horn, the horn that will awaken all of the sleeping gods and lead them into battle against Loki and his forces. And then another horn signals another drop as you swiftly rush through numerous scenes of different battles throughout Ragnarok, seeing Thor destroyed the Midgard serpent, then succumbed to its venom. Odin being consumed by Fenrir. All this fucking chaos and bloodshed. And then you end with two figures, Heimdall and Loki. But they are not animatronic. They are real people. And you suddenly see a bunch of carts come in behind you. Oh, that's right. You're now suddenly in a stunt show as Loki approaches Heimdall. And it's just like, I did it. I did it. I nailed this shit. And Heimdall's just like, yeah, we're gonna fight. And then they have like this awesome back and forth fierce battle across this gigantic set. A huge stunt show. There's flames, buck wild shit. And then finally, the two wound each other. And they fall to their knees, staring at each other. And they're mortally wounded, so they're about to die. And then Loki just looks at Heimdall and he says, "It is done." And then Loki just fucking laughs in Heimdall's face as Heimdall goes from his knees to just kind of like sitting on his butt with his legs in front of him, twiddling. And he goes, "I won." "No, Loki. I can see farther than you." And then as Heimdall says that, Loki just kind of looks pissed, like, "I don't know what you mean. What are you talking about? I've done everything. I've won." And then just stabs Heimdall. Like, sends the sword through him. And then falls on his back as he succumbs to his own wounds. And then your carts all start to move forward into the next room as the whole room starts to catch on fire. As the flames of Surtur just take the entire land of Asgard away. And then suddenly, in the next room, you find yourself in a beautiful green field. You hear, like, if you look behind you, you would see, like, a screen, but it looks like the ocean behind you. And there's a massive tree spiraling overhead, the World Tree. Branches just spiraling out all around the ceiling as two children run and play in front of the World Tree. And then Heimdall's voice echoes overhead and says, "I can see farther than you." And then that's it. And then you get off the ride. And that's Ragnarok, baby. And the ride is called the End of the World Tour. And a little bit more info. Since you did want it to be a little bit more educational, the queue itself kind of has a bunch of different stories about Ragnarok, or not about Ragnarok, but fun Norse stories, like adventures of Thor and some of the different things that happened with, like, all the different gods and giants. And then the pre-show area is where you learn of basically what started Ragnarok. You see Loki's plan where he forced Hod to murder his brother in cold blood because Loki deceived him. And then you learn where Loki escapes from Asgard, taking refuge in a stream where he's disguised as a fish, which sounds like I made it up, but it's fucking real. And then you learn of Loki's demise, where the gods all tracked him down, murdered one of his sons in front of him, and then bound Loki with the entrails of his son, put stones on him to weigh him down, and then put a snake above his head that constantly drips venom onto his face. It's hardcore as shit what happens to Loki. And then, of course, Loki's wife comes to hold that wooden bowl to catch all of the venom, to stop it from burning Loki's skull. So, yeah, that's all the educational part. But let's get on the important part, is alcohol. It has a 2-drink minimum, because I think you gotta have that Norse feeling in you. And it actually does have 2 drinks, so if you want, you can have these 2 drinks and then ride it, and you'll be good. One is called Vasir, and it's just a house-made mead that we produce, and it's based off the tale of Vasir, who was the world's most wise man, who was created from the saliva of the 2 different groups of gods.
Can you spell that?
Vasir.
Yeah.
K. Yeah, fucking big twist.
Good thing I asked.
Kvasir. Vasir.
I was close.
Yeah. He was the world's most wise man, and then some dwarves tricked him and killed him and turned his blood into the mead of poetry. And so that's what our Vasir mead is. And then there's the Apocalypse cocktail that I found, which, hold on, let me make sure I have the exact ingredients. I really like it because any cocktail that has more than one of the typical spirits in it makes me happy. But it's an ounce of bourbon, an ounce of vodka, an ounce of peppermint schnapps, and then 3/4 ounce of Kahlua. So it sounds like just a really nice minty chocolate concoction that I'm real down with, my dude.
I have a question about your minimums. So if you ride it once, so you drink 2 drinks and ride it once, do you then have to start over to ride it again?
Oh, no, no, no. Okay, the way the drink minimum works in Scotland is you have a phone, obviously, and you have the app on your phone, and that you have to get scanned wherever you go get drinks at. That way it will add to your total. That way when you scan your ticket, the ticket will know, like, oh, he had a bourbon over in this area, and then he had like a beer in this other area.
I was just wondering because you had an attraction with like an 8-drink minimum in it, so I was making sure you weren't trying to commit alcohol poisoning.
Well, no. The genius thing about this is also we force you to put in your weight, and so then we measure how much your alcohol content would be. We'd measure your BAC, and then we'd be like, oh, no, they're good. They cannot drink anymore. And so we can actually start cutting people off based on this. So it's a smart decision.
Yeah, because you would know what time they ordered everything at, too. So that is very good thinking.
Uh-huh, you see? I'm not dumb. I'm a smart man.
I just would love to see, like, a Disney or a Universal like Imagineering meeting where someone comes in, he's like, here's my idea for attraction, Ragnarok, here we go, and they're like, oh, like the movie, and you're like, no, not like the movie. Not at all like the movie.
I'm gonna talk about children killing each other in cold blood at the beginning of it. It's gonna be real dumb, guys.
And they say we already have It's a Small World, what are you doing?
Yeah. Oh shit, that'd be the even darker version. You go through an area and you see It's a Small World, and then you just see flames shooting down from the sky.
Well, I made that joke on Twitter the other day about how Disney has a bunch of attractions where you go to hell. Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, you end in hell. Phantom Manor, you kind of go to hell. And then I put in It's a Small World and the Junior Autopia.
Yeah.
At the bottom.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, Jim, we've done it. We've got our educational rides. I
think my queue would have like almost like what you would see at like a science museum, like those little like the like hands-on exhibits for like how do I even put this?
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Like this would not be in there because it would be too hard to kind of have in the middle of a moving queue. But like a bed of nails attraction where you press the button and the bed of nails come. Like a Ripley's Believe It or Not or a
Yeah, it'd be something like it would be like you could show like the different forces, but like maybe instead of dropping a ball and like having it go on a track or something, like the ball would be like a little representation of the ride car, something like that.
Also, the other day I learned this while looking up like different souvenirs I could buy. I didn't realize you could buy the ride vehicle for Transformers in the fucking gift shop.
Yeah, its name is...
It's Evac.
Yeah, Evac, yeah. Mm-hmm. That's the only...
I do have one request for your queue line for one of your fun little exhibits. Can you put one of those cool tanks where they put how cold the Titanic was and you have to put your hand in the water and see how long you last? Because homeboy, that's my shit. I will put my hand in that water for like 5 minutes while staring at people with the middle finger extended. Like, I don't give a shit. I could have lasted. What, like them pussies?
There was at the Franklin Institute, like what I mentioned last week, they had a scale you'd stand on, and then in front of you was a tube that would fill up with how much blood was in your body.
That's gross.
That's a thing. Yours would have alcohol mixed in with it.
Jim, it's been an episode, but it's now time to bring my challenge to the table for next week, and this is something. I think it might have to be something you pay extra to do because it's not something that will be able to support a lengthy line, and it is an escape room ride. not a ride, I guess an escape room. I want you to put an escape room in your park. I'm gonna have an escape.
Okay.
Yep. And so you gotta make a place where people gotta solve mysteries and puzzles, and they gotta get out of it.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to really think about that because I'm not good at stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like figuring out mysteries.
Mm-hmm. And I gotta figure it out while also trying to plan this hell trip to Disney. So that's gonna be great.
Well, like I said, if you can't record next week, that's not a big deal. We wait a week, or whatever. However many time we have to.
We'll keep our lovely listeners updated. But for now, Mr. Jim, where can they find you on the internet?
I'm on Twitter at apparently smart. I have tweeted a little bit in the past couple of days, mostly dumb Disney stuff.
And you can find me on Twitter at ScottyMo, SCOTTYEMO, and buy all my books on Amazon. The Queasel Corp trilogy, BS versus the Gods, and make sure to check out my new series on my personal YouTube channel called Let's Write a Book, where I take you guys through the adventure of writing my next book. You guys get to join me as I come up with the plot, see how I make my characters, and get some shitty general advice from me about writing. So make sure to check that out. And make sure to check out the other BS Network products online at aloadofpurebs.com, ladies and gentlemen. If you like different movies and writing fan fiction, check out Fun Fiction. If you like wrestling, Fight Boys. If you like drinking, check out A Load of BS, ladies and gentlemen. And, of course, make sure to check out the other seasons of Opposite Attractions, where we built Apex, our superhero theme park, and then Vista, our virtual entertainment streaming extravaganza of a theme park. That's all at opposite-attractions.com. Make sure to support us on Patreon at patreon.com/aloadofbs, and make sure to pick up some merch at merch.aloadofpurebs.com. We got a bunch of different merch. I actually did make a postmortem jukebox shirt, and it's really dope. And of course, as always, make sure to find Jim and me on Twitter at OpAtShow. That's spelled OPPATTSHOW. Are you down with OPP?